how do we implement self-love on a day-to-day basis? I wanted to talk a little bit about how to implement unconditional self-love and at the same time trying to balance that out with the things we face every single day in our life. And as a single mom, I can fully, truly understand the juggle it takes between filling yourself up and also making sure everything else is taken care of, because there's a lot of responsibility. And even if you don't have children, you have responsibilities as an adult, and that can be hard to figure out what is the balance and how much is too much and all these things, and it like runs in our head, and then therefore it just kind of keeps us stuck there where we don't take any action to really loving ourselves. So how do you really find the balance? The balance is what you make it. My balance is going to be completely different than yours. For me, I know every single day what I need to truly feel loved. That's pouring into myself in the mornings, making sure I get up and I have a strong morning routine. A routine of meditation, prayer, affirmations, whatever it is I need in that morning. Maybe it's yoga, maybe it's exercise early in the morning. It kind of depends on what the day looks like. When I get up, I know what I need to give myself to truly feel grounded and loved. So the morning routine is very powerful for me for self-love, and that helps me kind of balance throughout my day. I also get up and do it before my boys get awake. So there's no one awake. I'm the only one that's up. I'm pouring into myself, and I just have that time to myself. And yes, that means sometimes some mornings I sacrifice 30 minutes of sleep, and that's okay because I know that's what I need to get through the day. So it's getting up, making the time. If you're not a morning person, schedule it in your day. Literally, if you don't schedule it, you're not going to do it. If you don't do it the first thing you get up in the morning and really pour into yourself and ask yourself, how can I love myself today? What do I need? Giving yourself what you need is part of self-love. If you don't schedule it, it's going to be hard for you to find time to do that. So schedule it in your day. The other thing that has been really, really helpful and very important was allowing the support. Self-love doesn't always mean that we do it alone, but maybe you need support on something. Maybe it's support as maybe you need someone to watch your children. You need someone to do this for you to be able to pour into yourself. Maybe you have too much on your plate and you need to hand that off to someone else. So allowing the support, there's always people around us that will help us and support us if we allow it. And sometimes self-love is allowing that support and allowing ourselves to receive that help. That is part of it, and is part of really loving who we are and knowing that no matter what, that support is going to help us. It doesn't make us weak. For a long time, I felt like support made me weak. Like if I asked for support, then I was weak. But that was just all old programming that was not true. And I had to reprogram that stuff. The next thing is, when it comes to self-love, release the guilt around it. Whatever you are doing for self-love, you should never, ever feel guilty for it. And this can be very difficult to really wrap your head around, because you're like, what's the balance? If I say no because I really don't want to do it because it doesn't align with me, but it makes someone else angry or it hurts them, what is the balance of that? And that balance is whatever feels good to you. It may not feel good to someone else, and that's fine. You get to decide what you want to show up for. And releasing and not feeling guilty about it. That goes back into really stepping into who we are, what lights us up, and how we get to show up. So release the guilt around taking time for yourself to pour into yourself, and saying no to things that do not serve you. Saying no to things that you don't want to show up for because it just doesn't fulfill you. And there's also that fine line of saying no to not going to your job because you just hate your job and not having a plan. you might want to have a plan for that. But you are aware of it, so therefore you can start working towards it. And then forgiving yourself, and I add the forgiveness part to it because a lot of times when we start implementing self-love, we realize, or I know I have this realization, and I'm not the only one that's going to have this realization of, oh shit, man, I spent years not pouring into myself. I spent years giving. I spent years not taking care of myself. And I felt a lot of guilt, and I had to forgive myself for that. I had to forgive myself for not showing up for myself. But it was a lot of programming that I had to work through. So don't feel guilty. Forgive yourself for all the things. Forgive yourself and just give yourself a clean slate. Self-forgiveness is part of self-love. And it's also not judging yourself. That's also part of self-love. All these little things that you are doing that are not positive, that are negative in your mind, you need to be super aware of them. You know, the self-judgment, the negative self-talk, the not being able to forgive yourself. Those are things to start working through so you can even love yourself more. And each part of this is going to be a journey for you. You're not going to go from, well, I kind of love myself, to, oh man, I absolutely fell in love with myself. I love who I am. That does not happen overnight. It doesn't happen overnight. And it's a journey, and you get to choose to stay on this journey. You get to choose to keep doing the work to get to that point where you fall in love with yourself. And that is why I'm so passionate about talking about self-love and loving ourselves, because we can't truly love deeply others until we love ourselves. We need to learn how to love ourselves and who we are, so that way we can pour into the people around us that we want to pour into and love them at a deeper, unconditional level. But we can't get there until we do it ourselves. So the work always starts with us, not other people, but with us. And this is part of implementing self-love and finding that balance of what kind of changes do I need to make in my life to really have true self-love? How can I find the balance? And the balance for you, I encourage you, is to try out new things that make you feel loved. And if you don't know what those things are, that's really exciting. You get to start. That's super exciting. And if you know what one or two of them things are, perfect. Start there and build on it. And you're allowed to change with the things that make you feel loved. Maybe alone time really makes you feel loved, like you're just having that alone time with yourself, and it's meditation and it's self-love. Or maybe you have no desire to be alone. Maybe you need interaction or whatever it is. Every person is different. You get to make it your own. But I will tell you again, part of self-love is really taking this chatter that's going on up here that is negative, stopping it, and reprogramming that stuff. Getting to the root cause of it. Where did that stuff start at? Now, working from there. Because you have to have a clear, solid foundation. Because if you don't have a solid foundation, everybody knows it's just going to collapse. So I encourage you to make part of self-love a lot of self-discovery. Getting curious and asking yourself, why am I judging myself? How can I forgive myself? What's going on, or what happened? How can I release the guilt around that? If this is something that you struggle a lot with and you can't seem to work through the mental blocks, feel free to check out a lot of stuff on my, I share a lot of stuff on my podcast. I share stuff on my website, on my Instagram stories, on how to work through each phase to truly fall in love with yourself. I also did a blog post, I will link it in the description below, on what is self-love. So if you need to go back and read that, start there and really keep showing up for yourself and just having true self-love and start learning what the balance is for you and learning how to balance self-love with your everyday life. Because I guarantee you, if you make a commitment to get on this journey, it's going to be so exciting for you. And if you stick to it and you feel the amount of love that you can have for yourself, it's going to blow your mind, like literally blow your mind. So I hope that this video was helpful. Please share it, subscribe, like, do all the things. This is the only way my channel grows. And I appreciate you so, so much for watching this.